Hello everyone, this is Mouse961 and I'm bringing you a series starting today on the new warp drive mod which is used in World War Minecraft Season 10. The version of warp drive we are using is 1.7.10.1336 and the World War Minecraft series is hosted by Fun Square Games. If you're interested in playing this pack, check out the link in the description. Today, since it's the first episode of the series, we're going to be covering the basics of the warp drive mod, and this is the motion and ship setup. The warp drive mod allows you to build a ship and fly it through the universe, or in this case a dimension, and it does so by jumping the ship from point to point. The primary blocks we'll be using today are the ship controller, the ship core, and the advanced computer. The ship controller is the brains of the warp drive mod, and everything that is warp drive must be connected to it if it is on your ship. The ship core is what allows the ship to jump, and it also has a built-in battery storage, so that way as you apply power, it just holds on to it for you. And as you can see in the tooltip in the top of my screen, it has a very large power storage, and this current one we're looking at has 0 energy in it. And the last thing is the advanced computer from the ComputerCraft mod. You don't have to use ComputerCraft, you can also use open computers, but in this mod pack we will be using the advanced computer from ComputerCraft. And lastly is the subspace capacitor from warp drive. I will not be covering this in this video, but they are an energy storage device, and like most energy storage devices, orange is output, blue is input, and these ones can both accept RF and EU power. So, without further ado, we're going to come over here to the ship I built. I say ship very loosely. It is a hunk of blocks. It doesn't look too nice, but it'll work for what we need to do. So first, I have a ship controller here in my hand, and I'm just going to place it down right here. I preferred the ship controller in the center of my ship, so that way when I'm putting in dimensions for my ship, it is much easier on me. Also, we have a ship core, which will go directly behind the ship controller. And as you could see there, as you should have seen there, the arrow, which is typically a gray color if it is not bound to a ship controller, turned green because it is bound to the ship controller. There are also 2 other colors it can be. It can be yellow, which means that the ship core is warming up, getting ready to jump, or is jumping, or red, which means that the ship core is cooling down, which means it's not ready to jump again. Also, as I stated before, we're going to be using a subspace capacitor, which I'll just place down right next to the core. And if you right-click on a subspace capacitor, you see how much power is in it. Also, if you right-click on the ship core, you'll see how much energy is in it. And the last block we're using is the advanced computer, which I will put down right on top of my ship controller. And one thing I forgot to do is, whenever you get into your ship for the first time, right-click the ship controller, and you will see at the bottom of your screen it says you are now attached to your ship. By right-clicking on the computer, it asks you to set a ship name. In this case, I will just put in Test. It's a very easy ship. And this is the first menu that comes up after you put your name in. You only have to put the name in once, because after that, it remembers. You press the number 1 to go to the ship controls, which means the system that allows the ship to move in any direction. And as you can see also, the energy is still going up. Now that I have my ship, and I have my ship core and controller set up, I will press D on my keyboard, and it lets me set the dimensions of my ship. In this case, it wants the front direction first, so I will count the blocks in front of the ship core, which is just 2. So I'll enter 2. And the right side of my ship, so I'm looking forward to the right side, is also just 2 blocks. Up, I only have 2 blocks. Yep, nothing on top. I just have where my head is plus the ceiling. Backwards, that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. And the left side is the same as my right side since it's symmetrical. And in the down direction is just 1 because that is where the floor is. So as you see now, I have dimensions for my ship, but it still says the size is only 1, so I will just hold Control R, which restarts the computer, and I'll press 1 again, and it shows that my ship now has 50 blocks, which sounds a lot better. So we are bound to our ship. Our ship has a size, and now I'm not quite sure if I got it right, so I'll hold down Shift and I'll right-click on my core, and you'll see this box come up. And this box is very handy in that it shows you what your ship is considered. And it looks like I have all of my parts. So I'll hop back in, I will hold Shift and hit right-click again to get rid of it, and we are ready to jump. So, right-click on the computer again. If you look down in the menu here, we have a section that says Movement. If you press M, so I'll hit M, and it says I can move anywhere between 9 and 113 blocks. So I'll just pick an easy number, 15. Vertical movement is how far up and down I want to go. I will go up 6 blocks. And my lateral movement is left to right. I don't want to go left to right right now, so I'll press 0 and hit enter again. And rotation. The rotation of the ship is which way the ship rotates after you jump. So, for example, if I have backwards, my ship will move forward 15 blocks because I went forward 15. It will go up 6 because I set my vertical to +6. And it will rotate 180 degrees because I have backwards, and it will do so in that order. So I will go ahead and hit enter, and it says, do I want to engage my jump drive? Well, first, I know I'm going to go forward a bit, and I'm going to go up a bit, and I want to make sure there's nothing in that direction before I jump. So, here we are. We didn't hit anything, and my person is still facing in the direction I was before I jumped. So if I spin around, here's the front of my ship, and there's where we came from. That's pretty cool, huh? There is a cooldown, which, because I'm on a test server, there is no cooldown, but typically there is 15 seconds after you jump that you cannot jump again. And also, once you hit yes to jumping, it takes the core 15 seconds to warm up before it can jump. The time for this is to allow the server to calculate where your ship is going to go, and also it makes it slightly more realistic in that you have to charge up the coils that power your ship. So now, if I wanted to go back down to where I was, I will right-click on the computer, I'll press 1 again to go to my ship controls, and M for movement once again. So this time, I still want to go forward 15 because I spun around. So I still go forward 15, so I'll just hit enter. But this time, instead of going up 6, I want to go down 6. So I'll get rid of 6 and enter a -6 and press enter again. And also note that all of the movements I made, the numbers were saved, and it actually shows up here that your current movement is what I just did. So my lateral movement, I didn't go anywhere, so I'll just hit enter again. And instead of rotating, I want to park with the nose into the dock, so I'll press the forward or up arrow on my keypad. And lastly, I'll hit enter once again. It'll ask if I want to engage, and I will hit either yes, or Y for yes, or enter. Here we are. Now, as you notice, we're not exactly against the edge. That is because our core, which is right here, is back where it was. So, I'm just going to walk off the edge of my ship and walk onto the platform. Also, if you noticed, my jumping is slightly different because we are in space. And if you are over a void, looking straight down to nothing, or the blocks below you are too far, you won't go anywhere. But if you hover over something, you will go down. The next thing we're going to look at is the size of the ship and how it changes the distance that you can go. So for example, I have these two ships here. They are the same size. They line up front. They line up back. I would do left and right, but it's not going to work out. But they look about the same. The ship on the left, I already have it programmed. If I go here, it shows that the movement I can go is a maximum of 153. And I'll just enter 0 for everything so I don't go anywhere. And I'll hit no on the jump drive. And it shows that there are 389 blocks. So with 389 blocks, I can go forward 153. But now we're going to go to the other ship, which is the same dimensions, but a different block count. So if I go over here, check this ship, this one can only go 128 blocks. I will get rid of that so I don't go anywhere. And I'll press no once again just to go back to the menu. And you can see that my block count is only 159 blocks. So between the approximately 220 block difference, it gained an extra 30 blocks of movement-ish. And lastly, we look at this very small platform here, which is only a 3x3x3, and it can only go 106 blocks. But if you look at its size, it only has 16 blocks. So, as you can see here, the size of the ship itself matters, and the block count matters. And block count will become much more important when you start talking about hyperdrive, but that will be covered in a later video. The last thing I want to show you is the ships that you can find in space. These are derelict ships that are spawned in by the warp drive mod. You can find them in asteroid fields, you can find them just floating about, and very rarely you can actually find them in the core of moons. But it also shows you that the ship core and controller don't have to be in the front of the ship. And this should also mean that necessarily it doesn't have to be directly in the center of the ship. That is because when dimensioning, you can specify all 6 dimensions, being front, back, left, right, up, and down individually. So in theory, you could have your ship controller and core on the side of your ship. And the last thing I want to show you in the ship is an energy air shield, which is essentially a door that you don't have to open or close, but holds in air, and the air generator, which produces air when given power. And if I break these 2 blocks, I'm just going to fly out, you'll see that these blue transparent blocks are flowing out of the ship, and that is the air flowing out of the ship. So that is all I'm going to be covering for today. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below, and I will get back to you shortly. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the video.